Renato Moicano just destroyed Benoit Denis at UFC Fight Night. Renato Moicano versus Benoit Denis, and it was a dominating performance. Renato Moicano literally started the first round off by taking down Benoit Denis and basically held him there. Not only did he hold him there, but he was also literally grappling circles around him. He had him in a full body triangle at one point. Transitions into a full mount, transitions back into a full body triangle. At one point, Benoit Denis looked like he was getting up, tried to get up. Moicano immediately took his back, full body triangle again, and after that, he literally started landing massive bombs. I'm talking punches, elbows, hammer fists, literally anything you can name. He was dropping on Benoit Denis' head to the point he pummeled Benoit Denis so badly that the doctors literally did not let him start the third round. They said, that's it, the fight's over. And here's why I have a problem with the stoppage. His eyes were exactly the same at the end of the first as they were at the end of the second. The only thing that changed was he got dominated at the end of the first and he won the second round. Why? Like, this wasn't as bad as the Nate Diaz cut stoppage, which was completely nonsense, by the way. Here's the thing. Michael Bisping fought the majority of the second half of his career with one eye, and he ended up becoming world champion. Benoit Denis can fight for 15 more minutes with one eye, and if by any chance that one eye closes up, then you can stop the fight. Because obviously someone blind shouldn't be fighting. But the thing is, why have the rules of KO, TKO, submission, disqualification, and all that? Why don't fighters just take the other person down and just try to gouge their eyes out in the hopes to get a doctor stoppage? I get it's a sport, but this is not basketball or soccer. This is mixed martial arts. You're gonna get hurt. Your eye might get swollen up. It might close up. Something might happen. Your nose might break. They're allowed to fight with a broken nose, but not with like one eye shut. With one eye, Benoit One Eye Saint Denis won the second round against Renato Moicano. So it wasn't like he was getting completely destroyed and they had to stop him from hurting himself even further. He was doing well in that fight. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Moicano. This is probably the most dominant performance of his entire life, in my opinion. After coming off of that Jalen Turner win, there was many questions about his chin. He got dropped. Benoit Saint Denis can do the same thing to him. Benoit Saint Denis didn't even come close to rocking Moicano. Not only did he not come close to rocking Moicano, he didn't even come close to, winning. I think if the fight was let to continue, I think Moicano would have probably gotten Benoit down eventually and just grounding and pounding him into oblivion. But the thing is, this is not an asterisk, but this is we're uncertain now. There's no questions being answered. Moicano's level as a fighter is still slightly in question because we've seen him against Rafael dos Anjos completely pieced up. Benoit Saint Denis' gas tank is in question. He never goes past the second round. So now we don't even know if he could go past the second round or what his cardio is like at all. Because obviously the main question mark last fight where he got tired was the staph infection. Now, let him fight one more round. If he starts getting beaten up or pieced up real badly, then stop. That would make more sense than him winning the round and then you stopping the fight after he wins a round. That was the main event. It was slightly deflating. On the positive, though, Moicano had a great call-out. Paddy Pimblett, Hooker, he wants to be on the Ultimate Fighter. Him and Paddy, Ultimate Fighter, it makes sense. I feel like if they end up fighting, that shouldn't be a feature fight of a pay-per-view. I feel like you could probably make that as a fight and main event in Manchester or somewhere in the UK, I don't know. But I want some of these big fight night cards with huge crowds and big fights on the main card. I'm talking 3 big fights on the main card. I'm talking Moicano, Paddy Pimblett. I'm talking Arnold Allen versus somebody. Maybe Yair Rodriguez as the co-main event. And a third person. Just to fill out the card. I don't know. Somebody. Because it feels like these UFC fight nights, we get one good one every 2 months, and then the rest are just filled with UFC Apexes with main events that they couldn't sell a single pay-per-view with on paper. A single pay-per-view with on pay-per-view is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, that was the main event. Moving down, Nassim Mavov versus Brandon Allen. I called it. Brandon Allen would get completely exposed against a top 5 ranked caliber fighter. His best wins are Paul Craig, Andre Muniz, and Chris Curtis, who went to a split decision with. And probably would have lost to if he didn't Winston Payne in the 5th round. He did well in the 1st round. He took him down immediately, caught him completely off guard. I was shocked. I thought Brandon Allen wouldn't be able to take him down. I thought Nassimavov's grappling was good enough to do that. But I guess he just caught him off guard slightly, held him down, did no real damage, didn't threaten any submissions. Rounds 2 and 3 came around. Nassimavov pieced him up. Shots to the body, shots to the head. Pieced him up pretty badly, bloodied him up. To the point that actually Brandon Allen was quite scared to be on the feet. He shot a takedown like 4 or 5 times each of those rounds. Completely missed the mark on them. With round 3, Nassimavov had clearly won round 2. He was winning round 3. Brandon Allen, instead of striking or making something happen, ghosts for a takedown towards the end of the round. That probably just tells you everything you need to know about the striking level of Brandon Allen and how scared he was on the feet with Nassimavov, like someone who's actually elite. And that's not really surprising considering he got knocked out by Sean Strickland, who doesn't really have knockout power, and Chris Curtis, who recently also doesn't have any knockout power. So there you go, 2 guys knocked him out. I feel like Mavov, if he had 5 rounds, probably would have finished him off. He was in pretty bad shape. He looked tired, gassed. Everything in between. William Gomez versus Joe Anderson Brito. I thought Gomez won. I'm seeing people say it's a robbery. The 1st round I thought went to Gomez. Joe Anderson took him down, had some control time, I understand, and he had some pretty big leg kicks. But in terms of just like pop to the shot, like what looked like it was doing more damage was more effective. The range that William Gomez was implementing, I felt was better. I thought he did more damage by a little bit, personally, from the strikes that he was landing from a distance. I thought Gomez won. I don't think it's a robbery. If you thought Joe Anderson Brito won, fair enough. That wouldn't have been a robbery either. I don't think it's a robbery either way. Next up, Brian Battle made himself into a massive star in this night. He had one of the best promos of the year. Called out France, basically. He said, "No Frenchman is beating me." And that was that. Just called him out, taunted the crowd afterwards. The crowd was all booing. Made the most of his moment, had his chains on, put him on after the fight. I like his gimmick. I like his style. I feel like he could be in a big fight coming up. I wouldn't mind him versus MVP. I think maybe he's not the striker that MVP is, but I think, these fights can go one of 2 ways most of the time. Either fighter A wins or fighter B wins. If he doesn't have a good, even if the betting odds don't think he could win, I think you should give him the chance. I think his star potential, I think MVP's a big enough name. You could probably co-main event a fight night crowded with that fight. Or that fight night I was talking about with Paddy Pimblett and Moicano. This could be the feature fight. Brian Battle versus Michael Venom Page. Amazing. Anyway, the fight itself. The 1st round was close. They were both trading strikes back and forth. They actually had almost the exact same amount of significant strikes, and by the end, Giuseppe was actually landing the bigger shots, like in terms of like the pop to his shot, like making Brian Battle's head pop backwards. It was close. I went with Brian Battle in the 1st round, but if you gave it to Giuseppe, I think that would have been very fair. 2nd round comes around and it's just a one-way. It's a one-man show on Brian Battle's behalf because Kevin Giuseppe did nothing except be a punching bag. He was landing 1-2s, 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 1-2s over and over and over and over and over again. And there was nothing Kevin Giuseppe did about it. He just kept going to the 1-2, kept going to the 1-2, up until the point that literally he rocks Kevin Giuseppe, right? Kevin Giuseppe stumbles backward. He's rocked, you can tell. He is not concussed. He doesn't fall to his, butt or anything. Goes up against the cage. Brian Battle swarms him, starts landing some big shot, Let me just explain to you. This is the cage. This is Giuseppe. This is Brian Battle. They're all squished up against the cage, basically. Herb Dean comes running and seeing this flurry, be thrown upon Kevin Giuseppe, and he just stands right next to Brian Battle. Kevin Giuseppe tries to circle out of that onslaught to the left, away from Brian Battle. Brian Battle tries to follow him, runs into Herb Dean, and Herb Dean calls the fight off. I can't prove it, but I promise you anything. If Herb Dean was just a little far back, and the same sequence happened and Brian Battle goes to follow him, Herb Dean is not stopping the fight. The only reason he did was because he bumped into Brian Battle. And he realized, oh shit, I've just affected the outcome of this fight. I may as well stop it. I hear so many people saying that Herb Dean is like one of the GOATs, one of the best referees. You know, he's one of the best in the business. Like, you can't say anything wrong about Herb Dean. I feel like he's one of the worst referees in the UFC. I mean, every time there's a close stoppage, he's running out there with his hands waving around, like just sprinting across the cage, just be in a good position where you can see what's happening. Like, just 1-2 steps, you know, and then you can stop the fight, like 2 steps away. Why are you so close to Brian Battle? He was thinking about stopping the fight, doesn't stop the fight. Just said by then is like, okay, let me circle out of here. Tries to, Brian Battle follows him, bumps into fucking Herb Dean, and Herb Dean just calls the fight off. I had Brian Battle winning, and I don't want to say I want to see Giuseppe get more brain damage, but I feel like, again, do we know for certain that Battle won the first round? Do we know for certain Giuseppe probably couldn't have won the third round? And then we have a close fight on our hands. Crazy that Herb Dean keeps getting away by being called the best ref, the best in the business, and just constantly is making these stupid mistakes. And again, you can disagree. Maybe he's gonna stop the fight anyway. Why didn't he then? Why didn't he stop the fight? He only stops the fight when Kevin just said goes to circle away. He moves in so close to Brian Battle, like he's about to separate him. Doesn't. Just said literally begins circling away. Battle follows after him, bumps into Herb Dean, and that's it. He does this, and the fight's over, and that's that then. It was a good fight, though. I think he should get performance of the night, because that was a good... It was a fun fight. Or maybe fight of the night. Maybe he should get fight of the night instead, actually. Performance of the night, maybe you could give that to, someone else, who I'm going to talk about. Morgan Charrier versus Gabriel Miranda. This is a shout for performance of the night. That knockout was brutal. Took his head off. I wasn't, like, you know, it caught me off guard. I wasn't paying that much attention, but I believe Gabriel Miranda went for a spinning back fist, gets caught with, like, a check hook, goes down, that's over, the fight ends. Good stoppage for once. Further down, we have Faraz Ziam versus Matt Frivola. Now, I had Faraz Ziam winning, but I thought he would boring decision his way to it. I thought his takedown defense was good enough, because I saw the fight against Claudio Puelles, who was actually a decent grappler. Took him down a few times, couldn't keep him there. Matt Frivola I thought would be a similar scenario, but I thought the fight would be a lot closer. Like Claudio Puelles, it was a split decision. I was expecting something kind of similar to it. I just thought Faraz Ziam would be the way the decision falls this time as well. I thought he would keep his distance from the range, strike at him, you know. Matt Frivola's a pretty, like, wild dude. If you have any technique or, like, range advantage over someone, you know, like, if you can keep the distance and, like, pick at them from a distance, I think you could beat him. I didn't expect this, though. He rocks Frivola in the first round. Well, first of all, Frivola takes him down. Ziam gets to his feet, reverses it. The normal stuff I thought would happen. And then he rocks Matt Frivola, goes for the finish, ends up on top, I believe. I'm not sure. The first round ends. The second round, somehow, Matt Frivola gets close to Faraz Ziam. And by now, Faraz Ziam is doing better than Matt Frivola. He's piecing him up, you know. He's landing a lot of damage to him. Matt Frivola gets close to him. He literally lifts his knee above his shoulder, straight to the head of Matt Frivola, and he is out cold brutally. I've said it before, Matt Frivola is too wild of a dude to fight in a 50-50 manner. You know what I mean? In the way like Drew Dober did or whatnot. Faraz Ziam picked at him. Faraz Ziam is usually a real boring fighter. I didn't know he had any knockout power in him. But finally does, and that was probably the best like knockout or finish. That was the best finish of the night in my opinion. I feel like he deserves the performance bonus. Anyway, Ion Cutelaba, Evan Ersland. I thought Ion Cutelaba won the first 2 rounds, I think. And then the last round, I think Ivan probably took. Close fight. That's that. He rocked Ivan a few times. Took him down. Some ground and pound. Ion Cutelaba seemed to have a way better gas tank in this fight than he has in like most of his previous fights. But yeah, that's just how it went. Ivan looked you know. I thought he was gonna. I actually didn't have any like bet for this fight, but I thought he would lose just because of how oddly his head was shaped, and that's what I thought. Going down, Omar Sy versus Da Woon-jung. Da Woon-jung was doing good in the first round. Landing shots. At one point, Omar Sy went for a flying knee, got rocked by Da Woon-jung. Got rocked a second time in the same fight, by the way. In the same round, even. And then after that, in the second round, Omar Sy picked it up. Da Woon-jung slowed down. Omar Sy landed the bigger shots, took him down a couple of times. And then there, Da Woon-jung got up. Omar Sy just did more. You know, look at the significant strikes. 90 to 29. Da Woon-jung, probably I had him winning the first round just because he rocked him twice. And then the 2 and 3, I thought Omar Sy clearly won. He outvolumed him, threw some good leg kicks over and over again. Some really good leg kicks, actually. And then, yeah, some overhands. His striking didn't look the best, but I think he can improve on it. I was saying, watching the fight, he looks like Michael B. Jordan. Like, he looks like the main character of, like, the light heavyweight division. Like, if he was a little bit better, I feel like he's quite promotable. He looks like a beast. And I think he's got the face for it. Make of that what you will. Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. This was trash. Ludovic Klein, minus 1,000 favorite, wrestles Roosevelt Roberts for the second and third round. The first round was kind of close. They were striking back and forth, pretty boring. Roosevelt was super focused. Like, you could tell, like, he did not want to get knocked out. He was zoned in, looking at Ludovic Klein, like, do your thing. And Ludovic Klein went for some takedowns. He stuffed one of the takedowns. Roosevelt Roberts went for his own takedown. Klein stuffed that. After the first round was 50-50, Roosevelt could have realistically won that. Embarrassing for Ludovic Klein. You're on this big stage on a 6-fight not losing streak, because it's not a winning streak, because you have a draw in the middle there somewhere against Jai Herbert, I believe. You're on this 6-fight not losing streak. You meet up with a guy that got cut from the UFC, came back, loses his fight. Then he's fighting you. It's a layup for you. Have a big moment. And you completely fumble it. Completely fumble it. Yeah, it was a boring fight. Even the French wanted nothing to do with this. And yeah, I just don't feel like he's going to get a jump up in the rankings or anything that's going to benefit his career in any way, because he just laid on top of Roosevelt in the second round and the third round. He tried doing the same thing. It was a really, really boring fight. This was like 3 a.m. I think by then, 3:30 maybe 3:30. I was having a hard time keeping my eyes open. Easily the most boring fight on the card. Taylor Lapilus versus Vince Morales. It was a good fight. Hold up. Yeah, I thought Taylor Lapilus majorly dominated. The first round was close. Other than that, just rocked Vince Morales over and over again. Didn't drop him. But, I mean, you watch the fight. I mean, even in the picture, he's, like, busted up red. Like, completely pissed him up. Did significant damage to him. Around this time, I was having streaming difficulties, so my concentration was on and off. So, take everything I say from this point on with a grain of salt. The women's fight. I did watch this fight. Ellen Perez defeated Daria. Let's call her Big Z. DZ. So DZ does well at the start of the fight, takes her down, controls her. She looks much bigger than Ellen Perez, and I'm thinking maybe that weight cut was like a huge problem, and like I thought the coach was waffling anyway. The fight goes on a little bit longer. Ellen Perez takes her down, gets full mount, doesn't even like pass the guard or anything, and just through sheer force of like strength, I guess, like this superhuman, you know, stupid person strength that she has, submits DZ in the first round. I was pretty happy with this fight. I was expecting just like a back and forth laying on top of each other, like a wrestle, like crotch fest. If you gave Ellen Perez a performance of the night, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Daniel Perez versus Victor Altamirano. Altamirano. I don't know. Let's call him Victor. Perez, in the last moment, put $25 on Perez because I was like, Mexico is not going to... I just thought it would be too funny. Like, the fact that Mexico got destroyed in UFC Noche, and that trend would just continue now. And that was enough for me to, like, back the underdog. I put $25 on. I won. It was a good fight. I'm having a hard time remembering too much from these earlier fights. I was really battling sleep at that point, and battling my streaming software, which decided it can only stream at 144p. Anyway, I thought Perez. Oh, it's coming back to me. The first round, Victor is doing quite well. Wait, how many knockdowns does he have? Does it say here? What? Okay. Well, this is not true. Victor apparently has 0 knockdowns here. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Never mind. I missed. Okay. Perez knocks down Victor at the end of the first round, almost finishes him. Steals a round, in my opinion. Before that, Victor was getting the better of him on the feet, but the significantly more damaging shot was landed by Perez. Rocks him. That's that. Second round, same sort of thing. Perez is doing well on the feet. It's not counted as a knockdown, but he does wobble Victor badly the second round. And I thought he sold the second round. Third round, Victor slightly drops Perez. Like, he hits him, he doesn't shut off, he just falls backwards, gets back up. It's all good. Towards the end of that same round, Perez catches Victor with a shot. Victor goes down, literally eyes roll to the back of his head, hits the ground, comes back to. I thought that was enough for him to win the round. Because I know they both kind of knocked each other down. I guess Victor's doesn't count. Because he didn't go unconscious. I don't know why. He fell over. Maybe they gave it a slip. Who knows? But yeah, I thought Perez did the bigger. Yeah, I thought he almost finished him. I think the time ran out. Otherwise, I feel like Victor would have been finished off. I thought he was finished for a second, and then he came back to it when he hit the ground. I thought Perez 2-1, 3-0. Fair either direction. Laura Cornine versus Jacqueline. I won't pretend like I saw this fight too well. I thought the more lesbian looking of the two was going to win. I thought Laura would win. She loses. Oh well. And then Oki versus Chris Duncan. Again, my streaming troubles were at their finest. I kind of caught the end of it. I believe Chris Duncan caught him in a guillotine and he just like passed out. And that was it. At this point, someone actually messaged me, the only person to ever comment on any of my streams, because I've only done one so far, asking if Chris Duncan won. Me forgetting that I can just speak because they're watching me, goes to type in the chat, yes, some response. And yeah, and then I lost, and then they went away, because I'm guessing they were weirded out by that. They probably wanted something more human. Anyway, that was UFC Fight Night Paris, Moicano versus Benoit Denis. Overall, a really good card, but overall really good card, but the main event, it could have been more memorable. If the fight ends any other way with a decisive win, the card's probably remembered at the end of the year. The crowd, I believe, just one more thing. I believe when Morgan Charrier won, Morgan Charrier won, the entire crowd started like singing something and the cameraman or like gave him that moment. I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they're getting some like big clips for some of these fighters to promote them in the future. Hopefully some of that stuff makes ESPN. If not, oh well. Yeah, that was that. I'll see you next time. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm on 12 subscribers now. Let's try to get me to 15.